My understanding is this, that there are 4 stages of any job search. If you start looking for jobs, these are the 4 stages you will go through, right? And I've defined these 4 stages as aspire, right? Then pre-interview, then interview, and post-interview. Now, these 4 stages are very critical. You have to check all these 4 to get good results at the end of this process. Okay, I'm going to talk about each of these 4 stages in depth, and will tell you what you need to do in each of these stages. Plus, at the end of this 4 stages explanation of these 4 stages, I'm also going to share some of the common questions being asked in UX design, UX interviews, and how to tackle those questions. Okay, so let's get started. So first stage is being aspire. So what we do in aspire, right? First thing is we understand our aspiration. What you have to do is, as I've explained you earlier, that UX industry is huge, right? It is huge in the sense it has lot of different things inside UX, right? As I've explained you earlier, it has uh, a UI design, it has research, it has accessibilities, it has information architecture, research, um, all other stuffs which I have shown in our earlier presentations, earlier week, right? So it's huge. So what you have to do here is first find out what interests you a lot. See, you cannot master all these things together. You have to find what interests you a lot, right? Find that which you love, which you like to do for your future, right? Don't just think that I will learn everything. That is not possible. It's going to take lots of years to complete that, or to learn everything together. So find your aspiration. What do you love the most in the entire process? Okay, so first thing which you have to do is understand your aspiration. Find out what you like the most in the entire UX. For example, you might be liking the user interface design. You might be liking to design screens, right? Or probably you might be liking to, or you love to talk to customers a lot, right? That you can switch for, or you can opt for a research job, research profile, right? You might be good at understanding content, right? You can go to content strategy. Next is research about that aspiration, whatever aspiration it may be. Research about it, understand about it. What is the market look like? How does people does this things? What are the process involved? What are the frameworks involved? Right? For example, if you're learning, if you love doing user interface, try to understand the color psychology, typeface psychology, grid system being used, design systems, right? Every UI components. Try to understand, research more about it, learn about human interface design of Apple, right? Learn about material design of Google, right? Get in-depth understanding about all these things. If you love to do research, try to understand how you can understand human a lot, right? Learn about psychology. Okay, learn about people, learn about how our brain works, learn about how to talk to people. How can I make people speak, right? If you love research, then you have to do uh, research on research. Okay, so research about your aspiration. Prepare your artifacts. Once you understand your aspirations, once you understand now, once you've done your research on your aspirations, prepare your artifacts. Your artifacts are your portfolios and your resumes. Prepare it according to your aspirations. If you love to do UI design, show that in your portfolio. Your portfolio should speak about it, right? Prepare your resume accordingly. I've seen people applying for a UI design job, right? And they are sending us plain Word document resume. How disgusting, right? What does it tell us? That he or she is not applying the design skills in her own resume. It's so bad, right? So reflect or show all the aspirations which you have for that particular role, or for that particular subset of UX into your portfolio as well as in resume. Okay, next, what do we have to do? Network, right? Try to network as much with as much people as possible. Get connected. Don't get afraid. Okay, try to ask for mentorship, right? Go in LinkedIn and follow as many people as possible which matches your aspirations. Whoever doing that job, whoever you think is exactly doing the job which you look for. For example, if you love to do UI design, find people who does UI design, who are practically working in some companies, right, doing UI design. Network with them, connect with them, look at their jobs. Okay, and here I want to really tell you one thing. Do not think LinkedIn as a Facebook where you connect with a lot of different peoples, known peoples only. But in LinkedIn, you should not do that. You should connect with as many people as possible. Who might know that one connection out of the blue moon gets you the job? Okay, plus people don't generally flood LinkedIn with unnecessary content. They put contents which are informatives. So network as much as possible. you know Connect with your local um, meetup groups, right? UX meetup groups. Go for that seminars, webinars. You'll understand more about how the industry is evolving. So network as much as possible. Then what you have to do is start searching for jobs. Right now that you understand where exactly these people or this whoever your aspirations are, right? So for example, your aspiration is UI design. Where are you finding these people, right? They might be working in some companies, right? Start looking for those companies and start looking for those peoples who are posting about hirings in that company, right? Start searching for jobs. Once you get a good network with you, you will start looking at a lot of different jobs openings inside your LinkedIn itself. Okay, then apply as much as possible. Apply only if it's matching, by the way. Okay, if it's matching your aspirations, apply the job. If it is not matching aspirations, do not apply for the job. Okay, because we are preparing ourselves for looking at that aspiration first. You do not want to become a master of everything. That is dangerous for now. Okay, you can become master slowly. When you grow up in the company, when you have 5-6 years experience, you will get to work in every part of UX. But for now, just try to find one aspiration and focus on that part and apply jobs where your aspiration matches. Okay, so this is aspire stage, where you understand your aspiration, you research about your aspiration, you prepare artifacts based on your aspirations, you network based on your aspirations, you search job based on your aspirations, and you apply job based on your aspirations. So aspiration is very important here, and it will help you in your interviews as well. Why we should focus on one aspiration, I'll tell you that as well in our interview stage. Okay, so this is all about aspire. We'll move on now. What do we do next? Once we apply, there will be interview scheduled, right? There might be HR contacting you to schedule the interview. What should we do before the interview? Okay, so next stage is pre-interview. So what we have to do, once you have got the offer, or once you have got the call that you will be scheduled for an interview, you should start researching about that company. You should start understanding about that company, what this company does, what are their missions are, what are their visions are, who are the CEOs of the company, who are the CFOs of the companies, who are these big people who work in that company, who are the influencer in this company, and what department. If it will be great if you know any design lead or manager in that company, right? You can follow them, you can find out more about them and learn about how what kind of posts they make, how does this company look like. So research about the company, right? Next is research about the hiring manager. Many times your recruiting team of a company might provide you a hint about who is the hiring manager. It might be an invite which you might receive, or they might tell you the name of the hiring manager, right? So research about him. Try to understand what role he is into in this company, how experienced he is, what does he look like, how does he present himself in the community, right? Read more about him. If you do research about the hiring manager, so when the hiring managers comes for an interview, you already know this guy, right? So you will be confident speaking to him. Otherwise, if you don't research about your hiring manager and suddenly hiring manager comes in front of you, and you might get lost into that by saying, oh my god, who is this guy, right? So you will get familiar with it with him, and hence it will be comfortable for you to speak to him. So research about the hiring manager. Prepare for all type of question your hiring manager might ask you. So here, in the next section of this presentation, I will show you some of the most common question being asked. So prepare for all those kind of questions your hiring manager might ask you. Okay, there are a huge number of questions available online. Just Google it. You'll get lots of different questions which you might prepare for. So prepare as many part of questions as possible, especially looking at your aspirations, whatever aspirations you have, right? Focus on that part a lot. Okay. Then try to do a mock interview, right? Just get in some of your colleague or your mentor or anyone, right? Just tell them that I have a interview tomorrow. Can we do a mock, right? And it is highly advisable that the other person whom you are doing this mock interview should understand how the UX process look like, or how is the UX design. He should understand UX design. Okay, so do a mock interview, which will boost up your confidence for the interview. All right. So what should you do before you go for the interview? Research about the company, research about the hiring manager, prepare for all type of question your hiring manager might ask you, and then do a mock interview. All right. This is what you should do in pre-interview. Next up, what should you do while on an interview? Okay. First, groom yourself. Yeah, you should dress well. You should have your beard trimmed, your hair trimmed. You get dress yourself in a very formal way. Why this is very important is designers generally have a bad impression, right? They casually, every time they dress casually. But while in interview, it might be that the other person who is interviewing you might be from a business, and he might not be a designer. You might be the first person who they might be hiring you, right? Don't take chances. So hence, you should always dress formally and go for an interview. I had this experience once, and we had this interview scheduled with this person, and I was there in the call, and I was interviewing this guy, and one of the business lead has came for the interview as well. Now this guy, whom the candidate was dressed very casually, with half sleeves and everything, wearing all the speckles and all the stuff. And he was excellent with design things and everything. And we took it forward, but business said no to it. Okay, so it's very important that you should groom yourself. Even if you are on a video conference interview, you should groom yourself. The portion which is being shown to people should be properly groomed. Okay, so you should groom yourself. Relax. This is very important. What generally happens is people get nervous a lot, and they tend to forget whatever they have, whatever they know. So it's very important that you should relax. All right. When you're sitting and waiting for your hiring manager, you should always relax. Take deep breath in, take deep, breathe out, relax, and just try to understand that this is just an interview, and I'm going to crack this because you have prepared yourself. Okay. So second is relax. Third, greet your hiring manager with a smile and a firm handshake. So once your hiring manager comes in, greet him with a smile and give a firm handshake. Boost up that confidence. Show them that you're confident. The research which you have done about the hiring managers will also make you feel comfortable with them. Okay, so this you should do. And then always carry a hard copy of your resume. There might be chances that your hiring manager missed out your resume in place, right? And then he might ask you, as do you have a hard copy of your resume? It should always be ready with you, right? You can say, here you go. That's a plus for you. Okay. Then answer the question according to the question type, which is very, very important. Okay, so your hiring manager will ask you different type of questions. Now you have to understand what type of question it is. So there may be two type of questions. It may be open-ended question or it may be close-ended question. If the hiring managers ask you a close-ended question, then you should only answer with yes or no. Do not elaborate. For example, if your hiring manager asks you, do you like Netflix? You should say either yes or no. Do not elaborate. However, if your hiring manager asks you, why do you love Netflix? Then you elaborate, then you open up, then answer however you want to give it, like in a very story way, by the way, but that's an elaborative question, right? So very carefully answer according to the question type. What happens is your hiring manager might be building up the question, say, why do you love Netflix? And he is expecting yes or no, and then he will give you a counter question. But if you start explaining if you start elaborating your answer, then your hiring manager might stop you and say, stop, I have counter question for you. That's not a good way, right? So understand what type of question is being thrown on you. Is it a close-ended question? Is it an open-ended question? And then answer that. Okay. Next up, prepare a question to ask to your hiring manager. You should always have a question. So at the end of the interview, your hiring manager definitely will ask you, do you have any question for us? Right? You should always have a question to ask for your hiring manager. If you don't have a question, it means you have not done a proper research. Right? Make a habit of asking, just ask any kind of question. For example, how does the architecture or how does the hierarchy look like in your organization? How does the promotion look like, right? How does the process look like? How does the research things look like? What do you do in real research, right? So you can have n number of questions to ask to them. That's a plus, and the hiring manager will be interested, saying, yeah, this guy or this person has done a good research about the company, and hence he's asking me this question. But mind it, do not ask business question in this way. Okay, ask question which is relates to you, your job, your promotion, or whatever it may be, but respectively to your role and to your position. Okay, so that's a plus. So while in interview, what should you do? Groom yourself, relax, relax, relax. Greet your hiring manager, carry a hard copy of your resume, answer the question according to the question type, and prepare a question to ask your hiring manager. Awesome. Next up. Now interview is over. What should you do? Right? Wait, and learn to wait. So there might be openings for 30 people, or for example, 10 people, right? 10, they are hiring 10 UX designer or UI designer, right? And there might be thousands of candidates applying for the job. And out of the 1,000 people, they might have shortlisted 100 or 200 candidates. So out of that 100, 200 candidates, they might have scheduled interview for or shortlisted 30 candidates for this interview, for this job position, right? So once your interview is over, they might have 29 others to interview. And interviewing 29 people takes lots of time, right? They want to understand each and every candidate's profile, and then they will make a call, right? So it sometimes takes months, sometimes takes weeks and months. So you have to wait. Learn to wait, relax. Okay, don't get panic as to I have not received any kind of response. It's been 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Relax. Okay, they might be responding you soon. There is a way to ask for an update. If you see that it's almost been a month, for example, and you want to get an update, or weeks, couple of weeks has passed on post your interview, and you haven't got any kind of update yet, but you want to ask an update, you should definitely ask. But there is a way to ask an update. Don't just plainly say, what is the update on this interview which happened? That's rude, right? Explain in a very proper way, email in a very proper way, saying it's been a couple of weeks that we have concluded the interview, and I look forward to join this company. You just empathize with the recruiting manager or the hiring manager. Said, tell her or her, tell him or her that you wanted to join this company. Put that extra paragraphs inside your um, email. Don't just ask what is the update on this. That's rude. Okay, so if you want to get an update, ask in a very polite way, in a very formal way. Cool. And if something goes wrong in your interview and you are not selected, it is always advisable that you ask for a feedback. Okay. Now there are chances that you might not get feedback from all of the places where you go for interview, right? That's normal. People might not have time to explain what went wrong into the interview. But out of 10 interview, even if one hiring manager or recruiting manager gives you the feedback, that will be great for you. That will make you understand where exactly you're lacking. Okay, and you can improvise on that. So these are the things which you have to do post interview. So we have covered all the 4 stages of job search. You aspire, then you next stage is pre-interview, then interview, and then post-interview. These are the things which you should do in post-interview. Okay, now the most important part. Some of the common UX job interview questions. Okay, so what are those? First one is, tell me about yourself. This is not only in UX, but every industry, every job profile, every job function of the business ask this. And the reason why everyone asks this is to understand from yourself as to what you are, what are your achievements are, what are your skills are, how well you can communicate. That's the prime thing we want to judge here, or everyone wants to judge. The hiring manager wants to judge you. They want to check out your communication skills because they have the resume with you. They know who you are, what you do, but they want to listen from you. They want to understand from you. Now, this is your opportunity to explain what you have done, to explain what your aspirations are, right? And it should not be a lengthy answer, right? Restrict yourself just for 5 minutes. That's it. Practice this question. Always, have your introduction ready and practice that you should wrap this introduction in within 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes is still lengthy. Try to bring it to three minutes also would be great. Okay, so once this question is over, generally what happens, the hiring managers shift gears to respective scope of work. Okay, so they might ask you question on UX design. They might ask question on the process, on questions on research, and questions on teamwork, right? Once the introduction is done, then they deep dive into each of these stages and try to understand how well you know these things. Okay, so let's try to understand. Let's see some of the sample questions on UX design. What are the questions hiring manager might ask? First, maybe, what is UX design? Right, you must knowing this now, because on previous weeks we have explained in depth. We talked in depth about what is UX design. They might ask you what is UI design, right? They might also ask you what is the difference between a UI and a UX design, right? So we have talked about it in our what is UX design week, right? So you can go back to that if you want to learn again. They might ask you what is information architecture. They might ask you what is accessibilities. They might ask you what is usability. Now they are just trying to understand how well do you know entire thing about UX. Okay. Now, however your aspiration would be, if the job JD tells you that it's a job description tells you that it's a job for a UI designer, then the hiring manager will shift focus towards UI design. Okay, they will ask you these questions and then they will shift towards specifically towards UI design. They might ask you what do you understand by color psychology. They might ask you what do you understand by the typography psychology. What do you understand by what is design system. They might ask you spacing, grid system. All those things they might shift into. Okay, so from here they will cascade towards respective profiles questions. Okay, and there are these are some common questions being asked in a UX design question category. Why should we have a UX designer in our team? Now, what the hiring manager is trying to understand here is, do you understand what value a designer can bring into the team? He want to understand, do you understand this? Okay, so hiring manager is trying to understand if you understand what UX designer can, or what value UX designer can bring into the team. Again, the same question would be, what is the value of UX? Then the most important would be here, tell me about your most successful UX design project. Here, the hiring manager is trying to understand how do you define success? See, the question is very tricky here. Tell me about your most successful UX design project. He's not looking to understand, or he's not trying to understand which one of your project in the portfolio is most successful, but he's trying to understand how do you define success of a UX project. Okay, so it's very important to understand in that way. How do you define success of a UX project? Okay, there might be chances of asking this question, tell me about your least successful UX design project. Here, the hiring manager is trying to understand how familiar or how easy for you to criticize your own work. Okay, so cool. So those are the questions which falls under UX design category. Now let's see what type of question the hiring manager might ask on the process part. First might be how to solve design problems, right? If they ask you like how to solve design problems, you can simply say, or you can answer this question in a very process oriented by saying, we can follow our design thinking to solve design problems, right? If it is an open-ended question, answer in an open-ended question way. If it is a closed-ended question, then answer in a very closed-ended question way. Okay. Then what is your process? If they ask you what is your process, then you can again go back and explain the design thinking process or the double diamond process, right? You can say, I follow this process to solve problems, or this I follow design thinking to solve all design problems. Okay, so why frameworks are important? If you go back to the last week session, I think, where I have talked about why frameworks are important. What is design thinking a double diamond? Again, you can go back to that session and try to understand what is design thinking a double diamond. Tell me about the last time when you solve a problem using a framework. Same, right? So you have to frame a story here and tell him, or tell the hiring manager how did you solve a problem using the framework, right? You have to practically. I think I have given an example also in my UX design framework week, where I've shown you with an example as to how to use a framework. And walk me through your process. These are all similar questions. This is just trying to understand how well do you know the process being the framework. Okay, so next type of question would be on research, right? So what kind of questions would be on research? First would be, what is the importance of research? Importance of research, you can go back to last week's session wherein I talked about user research and the importance of user research, or what is the importance of user research. I've explained there. Tell me about the last time you did a user research. So the hiring manager is trying to understand what process do you follow, and how did you come out with the report out of that research. What are the different type of research? Again, last week's session. When to use whatever is, again, last week's session, right? And the last type of question would be questions on understanding the teamwork, how well you are, how well you can work with team. Question would be, how do you respond to negative feedbacks, right? Question would be, how do you hand over your design to developers? Like, these are very tricky questions to answer. It seems like focused on you, but it is focusing on how easy for you is to collaborate with your team members. In terms of negative feedbacks, you can rebuttal by this way, by saying, whenever I get a negative feedback, I try to understand the pain point in that design, right? So I definitely will get a negative feedback on my design. So I want to understand what's the pain point here. I want to understand why this negative feedback has been placed forward, why the user or my teammates has given me this negative feedback, right? And I'll definitely speak with my senior to understand if it is out of my reach, or if something which I am not able to understand, then I'll reach out to my seniors and try to understand, or try to decode that negative feedback. Okay, so that would be your answer. Okay, so this the questions might be asked on teamwork. All right, so this is where we are ending the session today. Next week it's going to be interesting. So now that you know how to prepare for a jobs interview, and I've talked about that you should prepare your portfolios according to the aspirations. You should get your aspirations right now, and then prepare a portfolio. Next week I'm going to talk about how you can prepare your portfolio, right? What are the things you should take care of while picking up a project for your portfolio?